The mayor of the capital city. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Chairman Coleman, Chairman Tong, Ranking Members Kissel and Rabimbus, and members of the Judiciary Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify here before you today. I want to express my strong support for Senate Bill 18, an act concerning Second Chance Society. Last year, the Second Chance Society initiative, supported by this committee, both chambers of the General Assembly, and signed into law by Governor Malloy, established Connecticut as a national leader in common sense criminal justice reform, reducing the penalties for mere drug possession and expediting the parole and pardon process for low-risk offenders. The bill being considered today, coined Second Chance 2.0, builds on last year's historic reforms and continues the important effort to ensure that past mistakes, particularly those made in youth, do not represent a permanent and insurmountable barrier to employment and opportunity. For too long, our state, like many others, has incarcerated too many individuals for too long. The cost of over-incarcerating nonviolent offenders is high, not only for the state, which pays about $40,000 annually for incarcerating an individual, but also for the families and for the communities most directly affected. Jail time should not be a function of the severity, should be a function of the severity of the crime and the risk the individual poses to a society, not a function of an individual's financial capacity to post bail. And we should recognize what advances in cognitive science have taught us, that brains continue to develop long past the legal age of 18, and our law should reflect those advances and ensure that an individual has an opportunity to make new choices once they've come out of prison. While we've made significant progress towards ending the cycle of permanent punishment in Connecticut, we can do better. This bill builds on that progress and moves Connecticut one step closer to being a true second chance society. Thank you very much for the chance to testify.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good to see you.
See you.
And I appreciate your comments about second chances and moving away from a system of permanent punishment. I think we all share that goal. I think as a necessary result or corollary to what we're doing, young people, particularly young people who find themselves on the wrong side of the law, maybe when they're 18, 19, 20, they make decisions that hopefully we wouldn't make. They don't have maturity to process the consequences of their decisions. So they make a mistake. And so something negative, if not bad, has happened to bring them in contact with the criminal justice system in the first place. So already they're in a posture where they're making bad decisions and maybe are not being supported by people in their lives who are also making bad decisions or encouraging bad decisions. So if they get a second chance, they will return to the communities in our state like yours and mine, and they will need to come back to a system or be part of a system that encourages good decisions. And I wonder if you can speak about that, particularly the role that municipalities might play in that and providing that support. I think you and I both know that this is about jobs and opportunity.
That's right.
And providing a pathway, because it's not enough just to say, okay, you get another shot at another bite at this apple. What will they do with that extra opportunity, I think, is the pivotal question here.
Thanks for that question, Chairman Tong. I couldn't agree with you more. Even better than being a second chance society is being a society where people get a good first chance. And we have a long way to go. Your question raises issues that are at the forefront of my mind these days. I think we have some soul searching to do as a state about how we support our cities, which are home to some of the poorest neighborhoods in the country, in one of the most affluent states in the country, where far too many young people are growing up without opportunity, where far too many children are growing up in families that have been devastated by mistakes of the past, not just mistakes of the individuals, but mistakes that policymakers have made in the past. If we're really going to address the issue that you talk about, I think we need to start talking seriously about devoting an appropriate level of resources and support from a region to our center cities to ensure that we can help provide youth employment opportunities, summer learning, the mental health support that needs to go hand in hand with education, particularly in communities that have been devastated by trauma, repeated trauma. So I think the question you raise is vitally important, and as a mayor of a city that is contending with a full-blown fiscal crisis, where we are now having to make choices, as you are, about what services to cut, and where any service we cut will make it even harder for that kid growing up in a city like Hartford to get that good first chance. We urgently need to have that bigger conversation.
Thank you. And just to not to go off on too far of a tangent, but as you may know, I'm also chairing our new commission on economic competitiveness, and we are soon to release a diagnostic of the state's economy that was conducted by the Business Council of Fairfield County and McKinsey and Company. What that diagnostic has shown, and I think it's obvious to many of us, but it underscores the need to focus on our cities, that the economic development game, the future of our economy depends on our cities. The other cities, New York, Boston, have caught up. Our suburban strategy that helped us in the 70s and 80s doesn't work anymore. People want to live in cities. They want to live in Hartford, New Haven, Stamford, Bridgeport, New London, Waterbury. I don't want to miss any. But we have to focus. Is Berger still here? Waterbury. We have to focus on those cities, and that's part of this conversation. So I appreciate you here today and weighing in on this.
Thanks, Chairman. If I could just say briefly in response to that, it's not just New York and Boston that have caught on to that. It's a lot of smaller cities, too. It's the Louisvilles and the Pittsburghs,
right,
and the Austins. And those are the cities that we're really competing with. And I think what we need to do is stop thinking of our cities as separate from their surrounding region. We are integrated economic entities,
cities,
Greater Hartford, Greater New Haven, and we've got to start acting that way.
Cities, I'm sure, will agree that 30 years ago you would have written Pittsburgh off. And if you've been to Pittsburgh recently, it's a wonderful place to live and raise a family. Cities that just a few years ago were written off for good, Detroit is making a comeback. Yep. So we have a lot of work to do, but a lot of opportunity here, and appreciate your partnership in that. Further questions? Senator Coleman.
On an unrelated matter, if there are no further questions for you on this subject, I just wanted to double check to make certain that we are on one another's calendar for the evening of the 25th.
Yes, Senator, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions? Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much.